Now it's that time where everybody looks at it and goes, that team's overrated, blah, blah, blah. It's preseason pearls, but it gives us something to talk about here. So, of course, Clemson Tigers, number 1 on it. Look, you can't argue with that, guys. I mean, the national champions. Yeah, I know a lot of people that will try to argue it are not Clemson fans.
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Now, you get the argument of they're going to lose all those guys on the defensive end. The defensive line, I should say, replacing first-round draft picks. That's true.
Right.
It's a good point. But there's still a lot of talent there.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the national champs. You put them number 1. It's not like they had a drop-off in the offseason where they're not worthy of it.
Right.
No argument there that Clemson's number 1. Alabama at number 2. Georgia at number 3. So let's stop right there. Georgia's number 3. Can they finally get over that little hump that they have just been in? Can they finally stay in at least the college football playoffs and get into the top 4 here? Is this finally going to be the year they kind of get over that hump?
I think that hump is the size of an elephant.
Well, yeah. See what you did there.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah.
Their schedule.
Just now getting
their
it, Josh.
Their schedule shapes up very favorable. So I mean, they could be undefeated going into an SEC championship game very easily. But I don't know. It seems like they've had it in their grasp the past few years and just couldn't close the door.
And it's just they have the talent, they have the quarterback, they have several running backs. I mean,
their O-line is
Dak. You just don't get. I mean, well, you do get it because Alabama exists, but it just makes you wonder. And it's not that I'm arguing this; they are one of the better teams in the country, no question about it. But when do they get over that hump and just stay in? I mean,
right.
It's just they have the talent. It's so frustrating at times because it's a team that you expect to be there, but they always find a way at the end.
Right, just screw it up,
be outside,
poop the bed.
Yeah, I think they would have been in the poop the bed, poop fest. I wish I had that sound effect right here in front of me, but they would have been in the playoffs last year, but they suffered that loss early on in the year.
Mm-hmm.
You lose to Alabama, you get a little bit of slack.
They got blown out by LSU.
But you lose to LSU like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they were sitting outside looking at it. They had that awful loss. And then, of course, Texas beat them in the New Orleans bowl game, whatever that is, the Sugar Bowl. Yeah, Sugar Bowl that Tyler Sugar and Tyler Fleming were at, by the way.
Nice.
It went down there. And we almost lost Tyler Fleming. He wanted to stay in New Orleans. We had to bring him back.
Uh-huh.
But, and that was a game where, to me, that happens a lot in bowl season. When you're right there for a chance to play for a national championship, you lose, you're out, then you're not motivated no more. And I think that's kind of one of those things that happen. I think people, and I'm a Texas fan. That's the school that I hope does well.
Excuses.
But I'm just saying, though, I think Georgia was the better team that just lost interest.
I think they had a lot to prove. I think they, that the discussion was that they still belonged in, even though they lost the SEC championship game.
I see what you're going.
And if they would have won that game against Texas and left actually they played the lowest ranked team in one of the New Year's Six bowls. Texas was the lowest ranked team in the New Year's Six bowls, so they had a favorable matchup as well. I don't know.
I do think it plays with them a little bit, though, because
it does kind of play with them. But at the end of the day,
you got to win.
If you were in a discussion to be a playoff team, you could have still proved that and came out ranked number 2 or number 3 at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, you forgot about us.
Yeah, if you look at their schedule, like you said, Josh, there's not a whole lot of challenges as you see there. I mean,
Notre Dame and Auburn.
They're at Vanderbilt, going to be a win. Murray State, they might lose that one. Just kidding. Arkansas State, Notre Dame at home. They're at Tennessee, which could be, maybe. They have South Carolina at home, Kentucky at home. They're at Florida, Missouri at home. They're at Auburn, Texas A&M at home, and then at Georgia Tech. And so, you look at that schedule. Like you said, it's very, favorable. They don't have to play LSU. They don't have to play any of the big dogs from the West. I mean, Auburn. It depends on what Auburn you get. Are you going to get 6-6 Auburn, or are you going to get 10-2 Auburn? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I would fully expect. I don't know much about Auburn's team this year, but probably 6-6 Auburn again. And all you hear is, Gus Malzahn's going to lose his job, and he's going to lose his job again.
That's the year he comes through.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's crazy.
And so I looking at their schedule, I think they have the potential to go in the. What's going to be interesting is if they go into the SEC championship game, and let's say Alabama has one loss, and they're playing Alabama. Alabama beats Georgia. Clemson's undefeated.
Is Georgia undefeated?
Georgia's undefeated.
Okay.
Does Georgia get in?
If they were undefeated and lose to Alabama, then I think so. Yeah,
because obviously Alabama.
But it's hard.
Would get in.
It's hard right now. It really is.
It's
really if there's other undefeated teams, but normally there's not going to be three or four undefeated teams. There's only last year there was 3 undefeated teams. So it's going to be.
I mean, it's going to be.
If there's not other undefeated teams, then yes. If they're compared to any other one-loss team, they're probably getting in.
Here's what I'll say: they cannot have the scenario where they go into the ACC championship game with one loss and lose the ACC championship game and expect to get in. I don't think they.
Because you saw the committee. Those 2 losses hurt you big time.
Yes.
No matter who you are.
Right.
And no matter who they lost to. You lose 2, you're essentially out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
They cannot. To me, they almost have to go undefeated into the SEC championship game. Because I fully believe. I mean, if you look at top 25,
just beat Bama.
Yeah, or just beat Bama. Just beat them straight up.
You just can't have that LSU loss, though. Take away that LSU loss and then you lose to Bama, you're still in. You're still in.
True. I will agree with you on that. Well, I'm just saying that if they go undefeated and then they lose to Alabama, I still think they get in. But what's going to be playing in my mind is they still can't beat Alabama. Like, this might be the best Georgia team we've seen in recent years, with their offensive line, with their defensive starters coming back. I know they lose a guy like DeAndre Baker in the defensive backfield. He's a first-round talent. And then you still have DeAndre Swift as your running back, and then you probably have a tank full of other guys ready to come in and deploy. You know what I mean? And so, the only really question, I guess you could say, is maybe – the wide receiver position, but at the same time, they still have guys. They have 4- and 5-star guys everywhere. I think there's just something with Kirby Smart and getting over that Alabama hump that we're talking about, because until they beat Alabama, they're not going to be, to me, in my eyes, they won't be that premier program to look at. They're good now. They're really, really good, but they're not Alabama.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's really hard to lose that last game and get in.
Yeah.
That and plus you've already had your shot at Bama. Once you turn around and get another shot.
Right. And last year's loss was really bad in the SEC championship game. When you knock out their starting quarterback, and I know they have Jalen Hurts back there, but the guy hasn't played a whole lot.
Right.
And he comes in and carries Alabama.
He's not known for his arm, and he shredded him.
Yeah. What's going to be interesting too is, and I know we still have the rest of the top 25 is Oklahoma,
and that's number 4 on the list, right there. You guys mentioned Jalen Hurts.
Overrated?
I don't think Hurts is the guy that fits for them.
Coach Riley, though, the last couple quarterbacks that he's had in there, obviously has turned them into number 1 overall picks. With Mayfield and then Kyler Murray. So Jalen Hurts, again, when you have that reputation, you have 2 guys that went number 1, there's going to be that high expectations. However, I just don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to have the same kind of success that those 2 other guys did. I don't think he's quite the passer.
Those guys had great arms.
Yeah.
Mayfield and
Jalen Hurts
Murray.
does not have a great arm.
He has a good arm, but it's more than just Cam Newton has a great arm.
He's not as accurate.
You know what I mean?
He's not. Yeah. He's not as accurate.
Yeah.
And I don't think he has the arm strength that a Murray has. Murray had a cannon.
I haven't seen Hurts throw the ball that much. He hasn't had to. He hasn't had to. But here's the thing: it's Big 12. There's no defense in the Big 12 at all. Everybody's numbers look great if you're a Big 12 quarterback. So will he look better than what he did at Alabama? Yes, I believe so. but I'm with you, Joe. I don't know exactly how.
Just don't know how he fits.
It doesn't mean that he's not. I think we're saying it doesn't mean that he's not going to have a good year, but I want to see it first. I'm not going to sit here and go, yeah, Lincoln Riley is going to turn him into a number 1 draft pick type quarterback. I'm not going to say that because I don't know. I have my doubts. I'm interested to see there, but they are number 4. At number 5, no Urban Meyer, but they're still in the top 5. Ohio State. Okay.
Overrated.
Yeah. Here's another team that's always right there. LSU. They never have a quarterback.
Oh, I kind of like it.
They never have a quarterback.
Yeah,
they're always.
They got what's his face coming back. Can't remember his name.
Exactly.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Exactly.
Number 9 coming back. Woo! Go Tigers.
I mean, I think when we're getting down right here in this middle part of it, a lot of overrated kind of thoughts come into your mind. Because number 7, Michigan.
Overrated.
I mean, Jim Harbaugh.
Shea Patterson, but still overrated.
That's why I don't think Ohio State's overrated because they got to play. Michigan's their biggest opponent.
And they beat them every year.
And they beat them every year.
Well, I'm going to say this. Urban Meyer is no longer there. If you can't win Jim Harbaugh, just leave. John Harbaugh, whoever it is. I don't know. I think it's Jim. I don't know. I messed them up all the time.
They could be the new Lincoln
Jim.
Riley.
I was right the first time.
They could be the new Lincoln Riley.
Who?
Coach Day for Ohio State. Remember Lincoln Riley, up and coming guy under Bob Stoops?
Well, yeah, because Bob Stoops left, and then Oklahoma still stayed. It could.
New Lincoln Riley.
I mean, it's Ohio State. They get
right.
big time recruits to go there. It's not like they don't have great talent on there. So, but it's just with Urban Meyer, they lost 2 games, and they were still in the discussion of being in the college football playoffs. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they could be losing 3 games, and there'd be an argument out there that they should be in.
We got a 5-star quarterback now.
Justin Fields.
They got yeah.
What's he do?
That's going to be interesting to see.
Let me give Michigan some advice just in case any players are listening that play defense. Please stop playing man-to-man defense when they're running crossing routes.
That was so awful. That was just they made no adjustments in that game, and I was just
play zone.
That was just awful. Yeah. Like last year, and it was
drag
funny.
And pick routes.
It was funny because Clay Travis did it the next day too. After that game,
yeah,
he went. I allowed myself to get sucked into what Michigan was doing all season long, or I was fooled, and I went yes because it happened to me too. I was like, yeah, this Michigan team's really clearly not that good. But yet I got sucked into it like, no, this is the year. They're going to beat Ohio State. They're going to be in the top 4. And I was on the Michigan train last year. Never again.
You know what's scary about it is Michigan's lost a lot on defense.
Right.
And so if they were that bad last year on defense, what are they going to have this year to compete with Ohio State?
Well, it's mainly just against Ohio State. You know, that their defense was good everywhere else. But you lose Rashawn Gary. I think the long-headed blonde guy, Clay Matthews Jr. Winovich, he's gone. Bush is gone.
That DB.
Basically, I mean, their studs are gone. So how are you going to replace those guys on defense? And offensively, I've been very unimpressed in years past with Harbaugh, who's a guy who supposedly has, he's an offensive genius. He's a quarterback whisperer, and this guy, his offense has been miserable. Really,
it's just been stagnant.
Yeah, and the questions have been at quarterback, and now you have a guy that's coming back, and Shea Patterson, who was a 5-star guy, went to Ole Miss, transferred out. How are you going to be now the second year in this offense, second year with Harbaugh? Obviously, he'll improve, but just how much? Because more than likely, your offense is going to have to carry your defense because you have so many guys missing from that defensive line and just defense in general, your leaders and everything else.
And then at number 8, Florida.
Overrated.
Last year they had a lot of momentum. The quarterback was playing well, got hurt, and that was it.
Right.
Healthy quarterback. They have talent. They surprised me last year because I didn't think they were going to be that good. They were a pretty good team last year, so I can understand why they're getting a top 10 bid here to give them a chance to see.
I could see it. I don't buy Felipe Franks.
And that's what I want to see is I get it. I get why they're in the top 10, but I'm going to hold off a little bit before I go either way there. At number 9, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is like the most confusing program because one year they're like really good, the next year they stink. They're really good. I don't quite understand what's going on there. I don't know
But Georgia
what
games,
team's going to show up.
The Georgia game for them, to me, is probably their season. They beat Georgia. They're
At Georgia?
At Georgia, they're going to be a top 5 immediately. Probably playoff contender for the rest of the season. That's their game right there is Georgia.
Looking at their schedule, it's not very demanding. I mean, like they usually play.
They got Michigan and Georgia.
Stanford is solid. But they usually play. I think they had, if I'm not mistaken, let's see if I'm
They
right
have
before
somewhat
I
of
say
an ACC schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they do have Michigan on there, so yeah. I thought they played Michigan this year, so they have some, but usually you see them play a little bit more here, and that's the beauty of being independent. So you can play some of these better teams like they want to. And then at number 10, the Texas Longhorns.
I'm gonna say this: that's the dark horse.
I don't know about them
I love
either.
Texas.
I don't know about them either, but I tend to think that they may be getting past Oklahoma this year. And
They
so
could compete with them.
They beat them last year.
They beat them last year, yeah.
And then they lost in the championship game. So question is, they may have to beat them twice this coming year.
Second game of the year, they're playing LSU.
And that's a game, too. If they beat LSU, they're a top 5
It's at home,
team.
though, right?
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall Texas is,
They're certainly taking that step back to the program they were.
Right.
Yes.
I think
They're in a
that's
discussion
clear.
now.
Right.
yeah. I like Texas a lot, mainly because of Sam Ehlinger,
Yep.
their quarterback. As long as he stays healthy, I mean, even if he's not healthy, he's still a beast. I mean, we saw that last year. He played a couple games where he was actually, severely hurt.
Right.
He was still out there playing hard.
But he's just a gamer.
Yeah. I like Sam Ehlinger. I like Texas. I like Tom Herman. I like the conference they're in. West Virginia's down. Will Greer's not there. Oklahoma State, they'll be, right around the 7-5, 8-4 range, which is where they always are. It seems like they win like the first 4 or 5 games of the year, and everybody's like, "Oh, Oklahoma State," and then they just kind of fall apart.
Then they.
But I like Texas. I like Texas a lot. The players they have coming in, the talent they already have on that roster, and obviously with a guy like Sam Ehlinger, who is in a way a kind of a Heisman favorite, if you will. He's in the conversation. Especially if he plays well.
Right. He's got that Tim Tebow feel to him. Maybe he's not the elite athlete that Tim Tebow is, but he's got that Tim Tebow intangibles look.
Right. He reminds me of a Colt McCoy, but someone who can run better than Colt McCoy could. He reminds me of that kind of leader for this team.
Right.
Because Colt McCoy was awesome for Texas.
Colt was phenomenal.
Yeah.
With the Longhorns, and I'll say this: Texas, last year started off hot, right? They get that win. I believe it was at Notre Dame, and everybody's like, "Texas is back," And then they lost a few ones where
they
you're
lost
like,
to Maryland.
"Yeah, you're like, what just happened?"
And they beat Oklahoma,
right? Because they were up, they went down, and then they finished up again by the end of the year. They lose to Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, but they played them tough again. So they finished off the year strong. So again, I get why they get a top 10 bid. I just want to see a little bit more from them before I get hugely excited for the Longhorns again, because the last few years have been kind of, I watch it, put it on, and then I'm like, okay, I can't watch this. No, they can't stop anything. Yeah. They shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers. I'm going to watch that on Sunday with the Jets. I don't want to watch this on Saturday too.
Right.
And see, Texas late in the year goes to Iowa State.
Yeah.
And that's shaky. We've seen in years past Iowa State's defeated Oklahoma State back when they had Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackman and those guys. And
they just have some bad losses. And it makes me, are they really there yet? Because if you are, you can't have those bad losses. You lose to Oklahoma, okay.
Right, you get a pass.
Okay, right. But you lose to Maryland, and they have struggled against Maryland. I mean, you gotta clean some of those losses up here. But I'm interested to see what they could do. We'll stop it right here. We'll come back, and we'll finish up